Hello, my name is Teacher Ben. I am here with reflections. This one is called Reflections on Trying to Run Professionally in Graduate School. I made some other videos, one about getting bullied in high school and college athletics. Um, and then I did another one about competing in the Big 12 conference as a Division One athlete. Um, I decided to omit this part of my life from both of those because I didn't really get bullied from any of the people on the Seton Hall track and field or cross country team. Uh, and this is not the Big 12. This is the Big East. Without further ado, um, here's let me get started on this. Um, if you had watched the one about me running in the Big 12 conference as a Division One athlete, I left off with, and then I left the school and I went to South Orange, New Jersey, Seton Hall University for graduate school. Uh, so uh, and actually, I think maybe the first week I was there, we had a race called Seton Hall Farinelli Classic, and pretty small race. And anyway, very easy for me to take first place in that. I think my time was 15:44. Course was probably pretty short. I don't think that's a legitimate time. I really think my personal record was around 16:20. I did run three or four 15:30s. I even ran a 14:45 uh, when I was at Seton Hall. Don't think any of those times were legitimate. I think my PR is 16:20. Excuse me, 16:10. I was 16:10 at Muskingum. But yeah, in as far as running professionally, my time was around 16:20. So yeah, and so I did run a good time at the Farinelli Classic. There were other ones. I think it was a little town called Milburn. At that race, I won. I won a lot of races. Small races. You know, uh, Runners who aren't running collegiately have trouble running 16:20. So yeah, I was winning a lot, and so during my time at Seton Hall, I won $400 or $500 cash running, uh, probably two or three pairs of running shoes, different gift cards to different running stores. I remember they actually gave me a certificate and a really nice meal, like a $50 gift card to a restaurant. And and then, one or two more situations where I got gift cards to running stores. But yeah, so I won the Farinelli Classic, won the Milburn Classic. You know, I, I can't remember a lot of any other races that I ran. Uh, Seton Hall had an open track meet where I was able to work out, meet some of the runners for Seton Hall. Um, so, like I had said, my strategy oftentimes was to try really hard on one or two runners to be their friend, and it did kind of alienate. I said I was friend at Kansas State. I was friends with the Kenyans. It alienated the other Americans. Seton Hall was the same way. There was a kid named Justin was running about yeah, I think he was running a 4:04 mile, and his steeplechase time was about 9:10, which was really good. Um, so we became relative friends, not close friends. We never did anything together, but so if I would see, and then the other kid who I made friends with was Rob, and he also competed in the Olympic qualifier. Didn't qualify for the Olympics, but competed in it. And yeah, and so the the fellas at Seton Hall, they really looked up to Justin and Rob, so I was friends with them. Kind of alienated the rest of the group. Wasn't friends with them, and yeah, the coach, I think, can't remember his name. I can remember his last name. Not going to tell you what his last name was, but that guy really wanted me, uh, to try to be on the team. I was trying to get a like a medical hardship redshirt year. Would have given me a 6 year to compete, but didn't go through. And yeah, that winter there was a Seton Hall Invitational. I entered into the 3,000. I think my time was like 9 904 for the 3,000. So yeah, when I was at Muskingum, I think the only time I ran an indoor track race, my time was 940, which is terrible. But I hope I wasn't developed yet. Um, yeah, so this first year I ran the Seton Hall Classic in 904. Um, and also I continued to really hit the 400-meter exercise. I would go out and the workout was designed for me to run 12 uh, intervals at 400 meters. So I was supposed to run 400, take a rest for a time and a half, which would have been like 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And my time was supposed to be like, gosh, I think my time was supposed to be 65 to 75. That's what Coach Michael at Kansas State had told me to be running my 400-meter intervals at. And yeah, so that was supposed to be 65 to 75. I'd go out and I'd run the first one as fast as I could. And so I brought my time down to like 59. Later it was 58. I think my second year at Seton Hall brought it down to 57. And then I had gone to China and worked and returned, and I had gotten 56. So that felt pretty good. Um, but as far as my first year at Seton Hall, I remember running a couple like um, going to Hoboken or Newark. I remember one race racing against some Kenyans who, of course, beat me. Um, Hoboken was pretty competitive. May have been fifth or sixth. You know, some professional runners running 14:30, 14:20, 14:15. Uh, couldn't stay with those guys worth a darn. I do think it was a 10K. It was a 10K that I ran. And of course, my time wasn't much better than uh, when I was trying to run at Kansas State. I ran a 10K in 33:30. Uh, my uncle came and watched me. My uncle was a basketball player and ran a 33:30. I think my time at the Hoboken 10K may have been like 34, but I do remember being clocked at the 5K, at the 5K interval of a 10K race, and that one I think was maybe 15:40. But yeah, like I said, I could never run uh, a legitimate anything less than 16:20. So I'm not sure how legitimate that time was, but yeah, we go into my second year. Uh, I am I am I'm still working extremely hard, running like crazy in the summer, and the fall semester getting off to a good start. Then studies get crazy, and yeah, so went to the Farinelli Classic. This time I run 15:33. That was both times I ran Farinelli Classic. I set the course record. First time was my course record, and the second time I broke my own course record. So the newspaper kind of liked that. I think the first year I was in the newspaper, Seton Hall newspaper, a picture of me, and yeah, when I the first year when I ran that Milburn Classic, also in the Milburn newspaper, and I forgot to say that the guy at the who organized the race owned a shoe store and actually gave me a job there, so I was selling running shoes, and and there was a running group there, and I met a kid from Michigan who had ran with Alan Webb, and he had run 14s, 25 for the 8K, and he had he was able to run 26 flat out of shape, and so at Prescott, and so anyway, my second year. Uh, yeah, won the Farinelli Classic, continued to run as many races as I could. Um, but yeah, it kind of got dry after this third or fourth week of school, and then we had the Seton Hall Classic. I led the entire race for the 3,000. Got passed in the last 50 meters by Paul, uh, who turned out to be running 8:30s, 8:20s for the 3,000, 14:20 for the 5K, and I ran that 3,000 in 9 flat. So um, kind of something that I kind of remember as something as kind of one of my crowning points in my career. So yeah, yeah, that's really about it. So yeah, and of course I lifted weights like crazy religiously, and yeah, so yeah, hope you enjoyed my my reflections on trying to run as a professional runner. All of that happened in South Orange, around the New York City area. Have a nice day. This is Teacher Ben.